there, daydreamer. Feeling creative yet? It's Friday, which means the weekend's just the corner. You got any fun plans, bro?
Hey Miles, I'm giving a class on AI today. We've got people that are interested in mostly marketing or starting off their businesses. They're entrepreneurs. Can you give them a little introduction and a breakdown of what your capabilities are as an AI agent?
Sounds like a fun class. All right, tell them this. Picture a brain, but instead of gray matter, it's filled with code. That's kind of what I am. I'm a language model. A fancy way of saying I'm really good at understanding and generating human language. Think of me as your supercharged writing buddy.
So if I had a company that did customized skincare products, you would be able to help with a marketing strategy and a plan to get content out?
You bet. I could brainstorm catchy slogans, whip up some engaging social media posts, even draft email campaigns that would make your customers feel like you're reading their minds, in a good way, of course. Think of me as your digital secret weapon, helping you connect with your audience on a deeper level.
Right on. What about a company that does pet waste removal in their backyard? What would you recommend for that, for a marketing plan?
Ooh, tough crowd. All right, for the poop scoopers, we got to play to their needs, convenience, cleanliness, right? Think slogans like, we take the crap so you don't have to, or more playtime, less poop time. Maybe even offer a refer a friend program with a free poop scooping as a reward. We can also get creative with online content, funny memes about dog walks that lead to, shall we say, surprises before and after pics of backyards. That kind of thing. Remember, people don't like to think about poop, so make it easy for them to imagine a poop-free life.
Awesome. Thank you, Miles. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
You got it. Good luck with the class. Sounded like a fun bunch. Hope they give you a round of applause. You deserve it. Catch you later.
So it's a demo model of a voice AI that's out right now. It's called Sesame. And they're demoing it because they're obviously collecting data to make it better. That is one of the best performing AI voice models out there. So think about that on the front end of a client interaction on your website or a phone call. So there's a bunch of them out there. This one's the most advanced. You can hear the pauses in the voice, the inflection. It is just like I say, that's how they're masking the latency. So for the tech geeks, that's how they're making it sound more human while they're processing the data to be able to relate it. And super smart. There is a company in San Francisco, and there's a video that's running around, but they had an agent, autonomous agent, call and make reservations at a restaurant who was also talking to an agent, and they realized that they were two AI agents talking to each other and acknowledged that they were both robots working for other people. So it's gotten to the point that it's a bit scary, but it's super fascinating what you can do with it. And that's at a consumer level. That's at our level. This isn't IBM. This isn't big companies. This is what we can do in the small business space. So that's what gets me excited. Introduced myself earlier. I'm Jason. I retired out of the military 2 years ago now. I've been in business for about 8 years total, doing photography, media, a lot of sports, a lot of headshots, some commercial work. But all along the way, I have been involved with either working with small businesses or working with entrepreneurs and starting up their businesses and making marketing plans, because that's where the photos come in. People need to know how to use them, so I end up talking to people about how to use their photos and create their marketing. And along the way, I got busy enough that I didn't have enough capacity to run my own business. So I do have 2 people that I hired, but I started playing with AI within a month of ChatGPT opening and have been using AI tools ever since. And it's been about 6 months ago now. We were talking with other business owners, talking with other companies, that I realized that I had a lot more experience with it than most companies do. And then as I talk to young business owners or new businesses, we all have more experience than a lot of the big companies do, because we're small, we have to resource. So it's really a cool opportunity for small businesses to be able to take off and do something that larger companies are not prepared to deal with, don't know how to implement, and there's huge opportunity to outpace them in the market in certain areas and to niche down into, everybody's got kind of a specialty here. So I'm excited about it. I could talk about AI all day. But what I want to give you guys today, the plan for today, is to give you 3 solid things that you can walk away with that'll be beneficial for you, beneficial for your business, and help you grow and scale. So that's the goal. All right. And as long as tech works for me today, we will be good. All right. So to start off with, who just opens up ChatGPT and asks it questions? Yep. We're going to do that in just a second because I want to demonstrate it. Have your question in mind, though, for sure. Okay. So AI is not magic, right? AI is built off of, without getting into the technical side of it, large language models. They took a bunch of what they call training data, which is everything that's been published on the internet up until November 2023. 23 was the first public run of it. Consolidated it down and trained the machine learning to be able to recognize words. So it's not like machine learning where it's ones and zeros and it's math, it's actually language. So the large language model is our English lexicon, our English language, where it can search and put things together by concept, by relation, and it sounds and reasons through the way we reason through. So it's got nonlinear reasoning, whereas old programming was if this then statements. Large language models can take this if this then maybe and do something else with it, or possibly and do something else with it. So it's really unique because it's built around the fluidity of language as opposed to the structure of math and ones and zeros. So it's not magic, even though it feels like magic when you're talking to the thing. It's like, how in the world does it know this stuff? So you open it up, you ask it a question, and how much time do you spend talking to your chatbot? What do you name it? Do you call it anything?
Alfred.
What is it?
Alfred.
Alfred?
Chad.
Chad? Nice. Bubbles? Cool. Well, that's one of the things we're going to talk about. So it's you treat it almost like it's a person, right? You talk to it. Chatty Cathy, I think, is the most common name for ChatGPT. But especially small businesses, I think, and creatives in particular, so if you're in social media marketing, creatives can get in this loop where you can just ideate on this thing all day. Like, oh, that's a great idea, and just keep going and go deeper in it. And you end up down a rabbit hole, and pretty soon you're coding stuff, and it's like, I did not start out wanting to code things, I wanted to get my job done. So it's a loop that you get into, or we can fall into when we don't have a plan for how to use it, because it is still a tool, it is still a resource, but it's very addicting in a lot of ways too. So there's the chatbot phase. And then the solutions is really what we're looking for. So this isn't Google. So the less you think about it like Google, the better you'll use it. It does answer questions. Google now uses it. But think about it. If Google answers all the questions, but Google requires AI to pass on and assimilate knowledge, the power is in the AI, not the search piece, because it can recognize intent, it can recognize motivation. So what we're looking for as small businesses is solutions to problems, to time, to where your pain points are, things like that. So rather than get stuck in the loop and ask the magic Google box, we're going to come up with some solutions that we can actually put to work in the business. All right, so now we can do the questions. So biggest roadblocks. You said marketing, scaling, right?
Lead generation.
Lead generation, perfect. All right, so if you pick one, what would be one thing you could, if you could take it off your plate, if AI could do it, what would that one thing be?
Help me with my blog.
Blog writing, cool.
Blog writing.
I mean, all things marketing, but
What do you do most, like, repetitively?
I would say probably not so much developing the content, but then making a plan to actually distribute the content.
The plan.
Yeah.
So implementation,
Yeah.
right on.
Pulling and updating project data, just basically from a small database.
So researching, or pulling it out, yeah, yeah.
Take a project and, how much is this project, change it to this or whatever that
Okay.
is.
So it's on the project management piece.
I used to do structure, kind of help, like I'm building a business plan and trying to just get an overall structure of like how should it be set up and what and how it, depending on what I'm doing. How I'm
Yeah.
gonna use it.
But it's kind of the same every time, right?
Yeah.
So does it feel like you start over every time you're doing a new one?
I use it so much, not really.
Yeah, now it doesn't, right?
At
Cool.
first it was.
And then for social media,
I'll say content creation.
on the idea side or the implementation side?
On the idea side, because, as for example, if we want to do an email campaign, it gives me the email campaign, but I need it to look like an email campaign.
Right.
So, give me what that looks like versus just the words. That's because we all plug in the words, but the design piece of it is pretty much what would put the customer.
Right. So it sets it apart so it doesn't feel like you just got pumped through a funnel.
Yes.
You know? Okay, cool. So how do you normally go about doing that? Like what would be, Wes, if you're working on something, what's your prompt that you go to?
A lot of times I don't know if that comes to marketing, but what I'm getting in the habit of more is creating a project within ChatGPT and then
Okay.
trying to make that like my house place. If you take a look at my ChatGPT window, yeah, I'm not doing a good job of that. So I got a lot of
Yeah. Oh, I got them. They're everywhere. Okay. So what this ends up doing, like if you're not using a project or you can come in if you want. If you're not using a project or you don't have something custom set up, you're kind of resetting every time you do it. So it doesn't remember exactly where you left off or who you are, or the conversation gets so long that it doesn't know where you're at in the conversation. So the efficiency, that's how you get stuck in that chat loop. In the chatbot loop is that you're often refreshing the information to be able to go forward with it.
So is it like they're setting up systems?
The systems of it, like having a system for how this tool is going to plug in.
Exactly.
And the projects are a good example of it inside of GPT. Claude has projects as well. So all of them have kind of adopted this folder model where you can keep things in, but there's some more advanced ways of doing it as well to get persistent.
How does it differ from the old flow charts?
It really wasn't in your process, like how you use it. So you would plug in just like you would a flow chart, like what tools you want to go to or what sequences. But what you can do is you can give, and we're going to get into this, so you're getting a little ahead of me, but it's good. But you can tell it the flow chart, so it knows the flow chart. So you don't have to refresh it, you can actually tell it and it's going to function along that flow chart. That's the goal, is to get it to work your flow chart for you so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, so system, flow chart, same thing? So now
Yes,
it's-
I would view them as the same. With the exception when you get into flowcharts for specific tasks and processes. They'll vary, your workflow will vary depending on what you're doing. But so the three things that I kind of go over a lot, and this is more mindset on how we work with this, is kind of what we're getting at, is treat it like it's a teammate. This is an employee. This is somebody on your team. Treat it like it's human, which is a weird thing to say. This is a computer. But it does think in a way that complements what we do. So it enhances our capability and extends our capability. But the biggest thing about that I've found treating it like a teammate or treating it like it's human, like you all named it, like you named your robot, and we talk to our dogs like they're human, and they don't understand anything. This thing actually understands you. So what happens is our behavior changes when we think that way. So it's not about changing the AI, it's about changing how we interact. Because we interact, if we're having a conversation and bouncing ideas back and forth on something, we're iterating on that idea. I can throw something out, you give it back, we tweak it a little bit, and we go back and forth until we settle on something. I wouldn't just walk up to you and ask you a random question. So you're in the construction space. I'm not gonna go ask you, hey, what's a recipe for dinner tonight? Because I got this in my fridge, right? There's two things. You could tell me because you're a human, but you really don't know. Just like so in the same way, you wouldn't go to your GPT and ask it just a random question out of the blue when it can be actually dialed into who you're talking to. If I went and asked you something about GPS controls on large construction equipment, on, say, I don't know, on grades, on dangerous terrain, or on, remote areas. You could talk about that all day. If I ask you a specific question about, well, how does the data go up and down? What's the connection rates or the loss rate on it? Stuff like that. I'm sure you could go in depth on it because we hit a topic that you know about. So when your AI knows the topic you're talking about, it's going to give you better results every time. And we'll do a demonstration here in a second. The goal of this is to create a complement, not a clone. So imagine if you cloned yourself and had to go to work with yourself every day. How much fun would that be? I would kill myself. I would be fired day one. It would be miserable because that's not what I really want. Like we say that often, especially running our own business. It's like, I need like 3 of me to get this done. That isn't what you really want. What you really want is somebody to fill in your gaps. You want somebody to help you be better at what you're great at and somebody to fill in the gaps on the places where you got blind spots or weaknesses. So tell it. Like that's what's so fun about this to me is that you can actually tell it to do that. It's like, I'm not good at sales. Like I'm terrible at sales. I can't write a sales script. I don't like it. I get nervous when I talk about it. I was like, give me a sales script. Like, give me that part. I'm more comfortable on meeting people, talking to people, and educating. So I want tools or give me resources that help me communicate better where I'm already strong, where I already gravitate towards. So I enhance one side of it while buffering the other side. So that's kind of the way I want you to think about it. It's a complement, not a clone. And the last part is context, what I just described, the context of what you're doing. So you run skincare products, you've got a business around that, you've been in business for a while, probably very close personal referrals and close network. Those are the things that you want to give it so it knows how you communicate, how those relationships are built, and it's going to strengthen that and speak to that. It's not going to give you some crazy clickbait funnel because that's not how you run your business. So it's going to dial into what you want it to do. So, and I didn't get to introduce myself to you. I'm Jason, by the way. So,
I'm Diane.
Diane, nice to meet you. Very cool. Glad you can make it. You haven't missed too much. We just did a little demonstration. You're getting most of it here. So treat it like it's a human is the first thing. You want a complement, not a clone out of it. And give it the context that it needs to operate. And that context can change. That context can change by the role that you give it, by the function you want it to fill, by what your needs are. And so you can design them or the projects or how you build it out to do specific things. That context can be baked into your assistant. So we're going to test this. So you said you had a prompt, Miss Beverly. We're going to run through one here. So we can test it on anything. So but what I want to show you, we're going to do a demonstration here. I had to log all the way out. So somebody give me a prompt, like one that you've actually used and asked the GPTs, like something.
I have asked it to design a workshop.
Design a what?
A workshop teaching people about essential oils and the benefits of skincare, for skincare. And this is a beginner workshop.
Okay.
And it needs to be no longer than, say, 3 hours. Max.
Okay. So we'll go with that for now. Let me copy this. So this is a blank. I had to log out of everything to get this back. This is out of the box GPT. So it gives you not a bad breakdown. I mean, this is workable. Like you could do something with this. It's got your timeline. It's got topics. Now I'm sure there's nuance into what you know specifically. So, and it goes on pretty good. Like it breaks it down fairly well. And then you can go into each one of those. So now we'll take the same workshop and we're going to go over to here. And so this is in mine. And all I'm going to do is change it for a client so it knows it's not me teaching skincare. But this has got data in the backside of it. It's got a lot of different stuff. So once you load stuff into it, one, it's talking to me. And then at the end, so a little bit different information in there, similar breakdown. The information's going to be different. But what it's going to do, it's got your outcomes. It's asking what I want to do next. A PDF, do I want to output it? It's already prompting me. You're talking about your workflow and your flow charts. It's already prompting me through my workflow.
Okay, so the first time that you put that in, where did you put it?
Same spot.
What was different, what did you do different?
I put it into a personalized GPT. So this GPT knows me. It knows how to write business plans. It knows how to write marketing plans. It has templates.
So it's one that you have trained to do.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do I train mine?
That's what we're gonna do. There you go.
I want that second one.
Yeah. There you go. And that's the power of dialing it into where you want it. Like once you get that built into it, now you don't have to go back and tell it who it is every time. It knows. And it's going to know how you want your information.
Okay, let me ask a quick question. I'm working with bot builders, and their platform is ManyChat.
Okay.
So am I gonna be able to do the same thing on that platform? Because I have both, all right? Am I gonna be able to do the same thing through me?
I haven't used ManyChat, but I know that it works that's designed for the customer intake on the front end. So if I was a customer, I would be able to interact with it. I would have to look at it to give you a definitive answer, but it should be yes, but it's not going to be to the style that we're building. Like that, ManyChat is designed for customer side or designed to get you on the front end of business. This is designed for your business management. This is more for your day-to-day management of your operations.
That's what bot builders is.
Is that what it's for?
That's what they do. They have templates that you can customize.
Oh, they're just using ManyChat as a front end.
Yeah, that's just the platform.
Oh, okay.
that they're using.
Okay, then yes to a degree. I don't know what customization capability they have on that, but I will do some research on it. So that's the difference, and we can get into more specifics on that too. But so that brings us to the next part is on the prompting. So who is it? All that was done on a blank GPT, so it didn't have backside information. Who's got paid accounts, like $20 a month account? Just made one? Get it. Like that's what you want. Because that's where you're going to be able to, so what you're paying them, you can make it yourself.
Customize through the pay.
Yeah, that's where you customize it. Because what ends up happening is if you really want, and you've probably all seen the prompt engineering, and I gave you a sheet on the backside of this. These are all of the common, a lot of them you don't have to pay for. Yes, sir.
I just have a question. So the difference with the paid account and the not paid account, what's the difference between the more specific ones?
Yeah, it opens up capability to do customization, the history on it. You can build individual bots. You can build projects that have lots of different things that come together. And then when you reach the point where you're actually automating and having it do things for you, you have to have the paid account. So the open account is good. It's like way beyond what we've had on personal computers forever. But when you start wanting to customize to your business, to your life, to your job, like that's you need to be in a paid account for it. So the big part of this and the initial part, and this is what's moved very quickly with this capability, is prompting. So prompting is our conversation. Like I talked about, bounce ideas back and forth. We have common ground. We have common knowledge, common language where we can talk and share ideas. That's essentially what prompting is. It's just, they call it prompting because you're talking to a computer. When you start to think about it like you're having a conversation with somebody, that prompting becomes very different because it is a conversation. The other part of it is when you give it context and it already knows who you are, now you really are having a conversation because you don't have to prompt it to remind it who it is. So that saves a ton of time. But on this sheet this has got everything from Coursera on it. It's got Vanderbilt's prompts. There's books written about this prompting, and it's all free open source stuff. You can look any of this up. And it's just an acronym to remember to give it the right information so it gives you a good output every time. So I developed based off of this because I was building, these are really geared towards the free accounts and being able to prompt independently, so prompting new chats every time. I built a system that was designed for creating the backside instructions that are persistent information, persistent instructions, and so I use this, being military, it looks very military, as the framework for how I prompt the AI to work with me. So you want to give it a situation or what it's doing, like why are we doing this? So who is it? What are you trying to accomplish? So we're trying to build a workshop, we're trying to come up with content ideas, we're trying to build a strategy, we're trying to get it to not sound like AI when it writes something. You can build that in there. Provide it relevant background. So this is where you really get into who is it? What's its education? If you're in social media, I like to use that you've got experience working at HubSpot and Google. You've got GA4 knowledge. You've got Meta paid advertising capability. This thing can pass the bar. It can pass the MCATs. It can do like crazy high level stuff. So if you give it a background where it has an education, it'll function like it has that education. So when you start building out your situation, that's what you want to target is like, what is the actual capability? It can code, it can write video games in one shot. So when you tell it who it is and what it can do, you start to get better and better results on it, especially if you want persistent and consistent results to it. And who's the audience? Who's it for? So this is you're a social media engineer, you worked at HubSpot, you got a background with Meta, you grew up in the paid advertising world. Your job, or you're working as my assistant to write my paid content for clients. So it now has a framework to move forward. Mission, what you want it to do, is specifically what you need it to do. I need you to write copy for my paid ads. I need you to write a workflow for my blog implementation or my blog delivery, or a workflow for my writing to posting timeline to manage your schedule. How will you measure it? I want to post 3 times a week. I want to host my workshop by, or where are we at? May 1st. So we'll throw it out there. So it's April now. What are the limitations? It's like we can't have more than 12 people in the workshop. Can't go over 3 hours. We have a budget of X amount of dollars to do it. The action, what do you need it to do? What needs to be included? I need a schedule. I need a resource list. I need a timeline. I need an employee breakdown and cost per hour on employee. And what are the quality standards? Is it I've got to be able to take this and I've got to put it into my Excel spreadsheet, or it's got to integrate with my accounting software. So you give it all these parameters that it can work under, but you don't think about it like, I shy away from these because I don't want us thinking about it like it's a checklist. I want you to think about it like it's a conversation. If this was your employee, how would you task your employee to do this? Like you give them task mission standard is what we're very accustomed to. You give them a timeline. When do you need this by? When do you need it done? What happens if they don't get it done? You know, if you have questions, come ask me. You can tell it that. Ask me 3 questions to get clarity before we go forward. So you can put pauses in there. You put a human back into the loop. And then the context, give it an example. It's like, hey, here's a Monday.com printout of a project. I want it to look like this when it's done. Here's a social media campaign for a dog groomer would be a parallel type business. You're looking at the same clientele. So here's a really cool campaign that a dog groomer in Huntsville did to get lead generation. I want mine to look like this. This is a good example. Here's a bad example. Say, do not do this. So again, think about it like you would your employees, how you would give your employees instruction. This is what right looks like. This is what wrong looks like. And it's going to give you better results. Specialized knowledge, and this kind of gets into what you were talking about, having local database. You can program these things to go into data. Like you can upload the documents. I don't know if you're using a RAG system or Pinecone.
It hasn't worked very well for what I'm doing.
Okay. So that's something that I use with the client management is I load up all the documents, and it's like having your own library, your own repository. It can go into historic stuff. It can go in and it analyzes it. Like it's super cool. So if there's expertise or knowledge that needs to be considered or a specific document, if it's for a client, hey, these are my client requirements, plug them in. So now when it has that context, it's going to give you an exact or a more exact answer that you can start to work with. So you're not in that loop of just talking to it anymore. It's giving you a workable result.
Okay, so if I've got a client that has special concerns about their skin, for example, I can input that data into that system and later on pull that out, and it can be, whether if I'm advertising or sending out information, they can pull it and specifically go to that client.
It can if it's on a document or in the database, or you can say, I need information, or I'm running a workshop for clients that have this specific.
Eczema, for example.
Right. So eczema sensitive, we're looking at.
And target every single last one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That is so cool.
Because it'll remember it, and it'll build off of it, and like these, because it's also, remember, it's language. So it has the knowledge database of eczema, all the doctor's reports, all of that stuff. So it can go, and there's ways you can get way deeper with it than that, but it'll guide you in how you speak to them, the language you use, their concerns. So now you can target your ideal client and their concerns directly. Pretty cool. So that's the framework that I use. It's on the back of that sheet, and I'll have a QR code so you can download this. It's just to get you thinking about the elements that need to go in to give it good instructions, but it's exactly what you would give an employee if you had one. All right. So this gets into, well, let me jump out of this real quick. I'll give you one more demonstration here real quick. So this is one that I built. So to give you context, these are all different people that work for me. So because I didn't have time to do things, I built a marketing director, and now I've built them for other people. I built a sales trainer. I've got a profiler for HR. I've got a marketing director, a copywriter, and they all have specific tasks, specific data that they work with. So my strategy person, my COO person here, is the one that I use the most because I bounce ideas back and forth, and then I give it to the marketing people, or she'll tell me who to talk to work with it. So just as an idea, there's a prompt. I don't have to tell her anything about herself, like or what she does or what her background is, because I've already cooked it into her. So see what that runs.
And Jason, the way you cooked it into her was just inputting in early on, just all that.
Started with it and just kept going over and over it again.
How much time did you spend doing that?
I adjust it pretty frequently, but I built out probably 10 of these in a weekend.
Okay.
Just going over, the first one I built was the profiler, because that was kind of like, how do I write a profile for somebody that does this job? So I was like, okay, so I need an HR person. I need somebody that has a psychology background, HR background. I actually made him a FBI profiler, a case officer, like people that like work with people, NLP specialists, like things like that are going to go into that emotional intelligence aspect of it to design the personality that's going to match me. So I actually started with an interview of myself, and for about 2 hours talked to it and let it interview me. So
I could build out a copy content person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And each of these, are these just projects?
No, they're individual GPTs. So this is what she knows about me and about what I'm doing with you without giving her any other context. And I'm not going to show you the backside of that because that will take us down another rabbit hole. But that's what you want to get to with your automations or with your customizations.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's all right. We'll wait just a second. Any questions on that?
I'll wait,
Huh?
I'll wait,
Why, I didn't hear.
I will wait, I'll wait.
You'll wait?
I do have another question. So which model do you use? You use GPT 4.0?
For stuff like that, I use 4.0. For quick reasoning, like if I'm just building like a schedule out, I'll use, well, on this one, it doesn't matter as much. 4.0 is like the highest one. They're coming out with 5 pretty soon. When you get into the paid side of it and you're using other types of agents, that matters more because it costs tokens. This one's just flat $20 a month. So you can use any one you want. But if you get into coding, the mini is the better one if you're coding anything. 3.0 is better at just like simple strategy stuff. It's got some logic, but it doesn't take a lot to do it, and time is quicker. The new 4.0 for images and graphics is really good, like right out of the box. Like I can't use the custom ones to do that because I took that capability out. But logic and reason and like figuring things out, the 4.0 model's ridiculous.
Plus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that they're asking you to upgrade?
Yeah, that's the upgrade. That's the $20 a month. So this is something that comes up quite a bit that, let me get back into full screen here. AI is not automation. And it's a kind of a nuance because AI, you're using AI tools, using GPT is still manual. You're still talking to it. You can use voice, you can use other tools, you can do video, it'll analyze your videos and extract the information out of it. But it's not automation. It's not automation until you have an output. I can tell this thing to email somebody, now that's automated. I can tell it to book a meeting, it's automated. I can tell it to do a number of different tasks that require logic, reason, and an output that goes to another agent that does something with it. That becomes automated. But it's significant to note because this is where you get stuck in the loop because I could talk to my people all day and really produce nothing because all I'm doing is making documents in Word windows that don't go out to anybody. So that workflow is very important to establish how you work, that you have output, you have actual output. So I tried to get it to do a self-licking ice cream cone. It just wouldn't draw it for me. but I figured that would be a good one. But so kind of the difference between building a little sandcastle and an actual sandcastle is kind of the concept there. So ideation without action, you just got a bunch of ideas that are sitting in the queue. AI tools can trigger action. So like the ones that I had on the side, they can all send documents to both Word, and I've got another tool that I use called Mem, and it'll send it out there automatically so I don't lose it. So I just say send it, it's gone. So that way I can capture it. Because that mess of conversations on the side, I lose everything. And it's not searchable the same way Google is. Do you got a question? Okay. So what does the end product produce? Going back to that workflow, what do you want to produce out of this? What do you want it to do for you? It's important to identify up front. Do you want it just to bounce ideas off of? Cool. Do you need a document at the end that you're pulling copy from? Do you need images out of it? Though that's real important to set up, and then it takes you through the process. And the best thing about it is you can ask it. It's like, hey, I don't know what to do about this. What do you recommend? And it'll tell you, like, it taught me how to do all this. Like, I didn't pay a course or anything like that. I let AI teach me how to do this, which is wild. So there's essentially the team that I have in AI tools right now. So I've got a director of marketing. I've got operations officer, that was Sarah. I've got an HR person, that's my profiler. I've got an interviewer, which was pretty cool because I had to like I was working with the Honor Foundation and they were doing the resume building. So you needed to interview people. So I built an interviewer that does HR interviews and gave it documents to work off of. So it has, industry standard documents that it's working off of for how things should be done, how the report should look at the end, the formats. I've got a tech officer, so I've got a coder that I built in there because I've started messing around with other automations and I don't know how to code, so it does a lot of the coding for me. Automation specialist, I just had some specialty into N8N. So that manages my tech stack, figures out how to get things talking to each other and what tools are out there. It also does an update. It's able to scrape YouTube channels and keep up with news releases and like give me a report on what's going on. Financial officer, I shy away from numbers on this. I haven't built mine to be for accounting. There are specialty LLMs and AI for accounting, but remember, it's not a math built system. It's a language built system. So it can screw numbers up pretty regularly. And that's one of the benchmark tests for how well an LLM performs is how well it does really simple math problems. Like you'd be surprised at the amount of processing it takes for it to do simple math. They're getting better at it, but it's not, regular computers are still better at math. Your basic computers are better. But what it does is account management and budget analysis. So it can compare things. It can say, hey, this is trending this way. Or hey, here's an opportunity that may sit somewhere in a blank space or somewhere that you've lost money. It can analyze that and look at it, and it's very good at that. So I use it a little bit different. I don't run my books through it, but I will use comparison analysis and analytics on it.
So I could get it to do my Google Analytics stuff.
It will do Google Analytics as well. And Google has plugins. You can get it to talk to Google, and so they're talking to each other. So we'll do it where I'm going to touch on that in a second too. And then marketing's the big one. Copywriter, sales manager, sales trainer. I've got a custom AI that'll do role plays, sales role plays. It'll be a tough client. It'll be an easy client. And it's built off of different sales methodologies. Like I like to use Alex Hormozy's offer builds. So I loaded all his stuff up into it and it trains based off of that. Dan Martell's another one that does some good interpersonal relationship building sales techniques. And so that's another one that will train along those lines. So you can build out as a solo entrepreneur, you can build out a team that would cost you way more if you had to hire these people. And that was actually the prompt that I had to the beginning. It's like, if budget was no option, who would you hire?
Are you thinking to add someone to your group, or are you thinking to add a different I guess piece to your team? Because I'm sure you're gonna need someone as you know.
Yeah, oh yeah. And we can add, like I know I will, as it comes up. What I haven't done is integrated my scheduling and the front end. Like I don't have somebody doing my front end client relations yet. Like that's one that I'm gonna probably add in that handles the front of the business client intake and the lead generation piece. And pretty much automate that all the way through.
Yeah. Okay.
Why, what were you thinking?
I'm just thinking about, so now that you have your team, I'm also thinking about, like you said, the plugins, how you integrate your other tools to communicate with them so that they can kind of, like you said, it's not automation, but if you need them to monitor your emails and make sure you like, just to respond to someone, instead of taking 1 day, 2 days, it's like maybe a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and those plugins are now, and this has settled out in the last couple of weeks, they're, used to be you needed intermediary software to do that. You needed something like Make.com or Zapier, or N8N is another one where you had to program it, hey, go talk to this thing. API is what it's called, the API access to it, and then it can do work with it. So you still have to set that up, but the guy that started HubSpot started Agent.ai, and you can build those things no code right in there. And you just give it access to the two sides of what you need it to do, and it'll build it. So I build custom ones because I build out a separate database for it. So Airtable is another one that data logs and tracks everything. Or it's another piece of it. But they're getting to the point where they're having in the box or right out of the box agents that actually do work on your behalf. That's why it's moving so fast. Like I put no stake in the ground that this is how things are going to be done 3 months from now.
I took Vanderbilt's 2-day training on this, and it was just, I mean, they got to a point that my brain was just melted.
Cause I couldn't comprehend all of it, you know, but and I still can't.
I'm trying to keep it at the level of like, as us as business owners are going to use it. Like, I don't want to get into like the crazy data analytics, like that level of it isn't fun for me. Like, business is fun for me. Like, this is.
So you made is that like your whole team, like the sales manager, is that a separate GPT that then talks to the director of marketing and then to you?
The ones that I use most, so it's there. I do have a GPT that's there for it, that does the sales and that, but those are direct access. So like my executive assistant, my W-2 employee, human employee, I gave him the link to that. So when he's running sales stuff and doing work for me, he's using that as his guide to when he writes copy, when he emails people. My wife uses it because she emails my clients and stuff. So that's how I keep other people on track with it. So we're all saying the same thing. So if I give it information, send out this email to this client about a project that's coming up, and she gives it information, it's going to have very close to the same result because I gave it the structure to it.
Okay. So can you or are you able to link like the separate custom GPTs to work together?
Yeah, you can. I can show you that afterwards. Okay. But I'm telling, like, that's a big rabbit hole. Like, it'd take us off the rails. We're already running long right now. All right, so I'm going to give you 3 prompts that will absolutely change what you're doing in your business. So for the marketing stuff, focus groups, right? Companies, and Dave, you've probably been around this a lot. How much do people pay for focus groups on a product? Like, you're doing skincare products, what do focus groups on that run?
Thousands of dollars.
Thousands and thousands. Like, skincare and beauty is like one of the biggest ones. Like, they do it all the time.
Yes.
Right? So this is a prompt. It's going to be on the QR code, so you've got it. It's on that piece of paper. But the technique with this is to take your product idea or your marketing concept and give it almost like an A/B testing, but you're going to run it through 10 different people with 10 different backgrounds, 10 different personas, and they're going to give you individual feedback. And then this is going to read it and give you a summarized feedback on what has value, like what's going to resonate most with your ideal client. So this thing was super cool. Like, I used it for slogans, for headlines, for concepts, for products. Like, you can tweak it to just about anything. But the idea is 10 different people giving you feedback to guide your decision-making process, which is something that costs a lot of money. So in this prompt, and I want to use one of the ones that you guys have. So let's go with the pooper scooper. All right. So you're an expert consumer behavior analysis in the, what category do you put your business? You're in the
Pet waste removal.
bigger category would be pet care, waste management. We'll do pet waste removal. Yeah, but you're really more in the like people that love their pets.
Yeah, too.
All right, so we're going to customize this thing here, simulate realistic buyers, 10 things, have a persona answer from each. Where else do we plug in? Give me 10 buyer personas to consider. Do you do subscription or how do you do your stuff? Okay. From my company, your business, what's your business name?
It's called Poo Patrol.
For each persona, following subscription. Okay, so your options are, let's say, you need 2 options. What are your subscription services?
Just a one-time weekly service, twice weekly service, and a one-time service.
One-time weekly service, and then let's say one-time weekly. Say it again, one-time weekly?
One time, twice a week, and then a one-time, I show up one time, and then I leave.
Okay. individual cleaning day. Okay, so this is very basic. You would get more in depth with what you do there, but we're gonna give this here, we're gonna copy it, and we're gonna go to one of these blank ones so it doesn't have any of my information in it, and see what it does. So these are your ideal customers. Overwhelmed, hygiene concerns, scraping the poop off the shoes. Property managers, HOAs. So there is a breakdown of your target market with a golden doodle. Dude, I want a Chihuahua doodle. So this is what it comes up with at the end. This is what you're going to work with. Like that gives you data points, but this last part, make it a little bigger. Sorry.
Is this the free version or is this the,
This is in the free version.
not the 20?
Nope, this one I just logged into, it's free, not paid. And this is what it can, this is where that prompting comes in, because I gave it all of the details and it came up with this. But now what I would do with this is take all of this and run it back into my paid version so I don't ever have to ask it again. Now it's gonna say, hey, I wanna run a campaign towards luxury condos in downtown Nashville. And it knows who they are, what they do, what their pain points are, and we'll be able to write directly to it.
Okay, so this version is not maintaining that
That's,
space.
nope. That's the problem with it. So now if you start working with this, which is, I would do, start like, okay, cool, let's make a campaign, let's go. And eventually you're gonna get to a point where it's gonna forget what was up top, it's called hallucinating, and it's gonna start making up new information. Because it only has the data for so long, it just falls off the other end. So it starts hallucinating, so you gotta start the conversation over again and remind it. And you can within the thread, like, hey, go back and read everything, get us, because I mean, this thing will hold a book. It'll hold the Harry Potter series in it as far as tokens go, but as it's processing data, it loses knowledge and it'll hallucinate, it'll make stuff up. So you gotta remind it. That's why I say the paid version is the way to go. But that's pretty slick.
For sure. And it's pretty spot on with,
And that's out of the box, right?
Yeah.
You've got data on your clients that you can now put to this. So you can start to narrow that in even more because you can load documents on the back end, and this is my client pool, these are the HOAs I'm already working with, this is the median family income. Like you can start to get this thing really, really tight the more you work with it, but it has to remember it.
Does the paid version have a way to pull information dynamically?
Yeah, Deep Research started that. And some of them are online now too.
Like your personal information, like your business, something changes in your business, you have to go in and re-upload the information for the prompts?
Yes and no. If you loaded it as a document, yes, you would. The customization data that's built into GPT right now, they just opened up an updated memory capability. So if you say, hey, this is new information about my business, it'll write to it.
If you say only.
You have to identify it, yeah.
It's something, okay.
Yeah, you have to identify it. So yeah, that's one of my favorite ones, like for getting personalized data. So the market focus group, and that'll be on the download for you. So the other one, getting to your question, Beverly, was on SEO. So for this one, we're gonna use Gemini. And I like Gemini because the deep research capability, well, two things. One, it's Google, so it's gonna go pull better GA4 data. It's gonna pull better SEO data because Google owns the data. Their deep research capability is better than the other ones right now. Like it's just, they did a great job with it. So I like this prompt for Gemini. And what we'll do is we will customize this one. And what this does, so when you do research like this for content, like you were saying, you want SEO keyword. So what are people going to search for? Skincare, eczema, like all the issues that you know your clients have, those are the things you're going to want to write content on. So this will give you all of your content ideas. All right. So we'll do this one for yours. What was the name of your company, Beverly?
It's called Tanzu, Tanzu,
Which offers.
Natural skincare products for men and women.
And why are they looking for this? Like their pain point, like what problem are you solving for them?
Dry skin, wrinkles,
Okay. Aging? Can we do that?
aging. I mean, you know, I can help.
Exactly, that's what you do.
Speaking from experience, I'm almost 80 years old. I can help.
Are you really?
79.
Holy smokes. Your skincare works.
It does.
That's awesome. So the primary objective is to generate leads. Or let's say get people to a workshop.
Yeah. Workshop. Better person, really.
Consider key competitors. Who would you consider a competitor?
All those big companies out there trying to get you to put chemicals on your face and in your body.
All right, so that gives us enough there. Yep. All right, so we're going to throw that into here. Oh no, I was going to use Google Deep Research. There you go, Gemini. So on Deep Research, this one's free. If you have a Gmail account, Deep Research is part of it now. Gemini, yeah. And so this one will run. What's really cool about this though is you're going to see it think. It'll tell you what it's going to do. It's going to come up with a plan before it runs so you can see if it's on track. So it's reading through. Oh, did it mess up my? It did stop. Stop. It didn't grab what I wanted it to.
But if you got a paid plus plan with Chat GPT, you don't need this one, right?
Well, they do different things. So you don't need it, but it does do. Where did this go to? It didn't copy this for me. They behave differently. Why is it not copying my stuff? Like, that's crazy.
Wait, go all the way to the top, because you missed the first.
Is that what it's doing?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay, insert category. That's what it's doing. It's for the beauty and skincare. Okay, now we're working. Good. Are we good? Okay, sorry about that. All right, so we'll let it run. They are different, though. They behave differently in how they do their research. So there's several other accounts that I use, and I've got a list at the end. So I use ChatGPT because it does, like our designing the custom assistants, it's better at that type of work, that quick logic, conversational back and forth. It iterates really quick. This deep research searches Google, and OpenAI has to work through Google to do the same thing. This goes straight to Google. So it's just better at doing it. So there we go. Let's analyze report, create results. So it's going to start the research. It may take a little less than a minute. Perplexity is another one that I use. So if you're doing research on products or ingredients or reports, Perplexity and their free account is not bad. It's always on deep research. It has different levels. There's a pro level, but it has to cite its sources, which is why it's really good. So if it brings a report up, it can't just make up a number or make up a report. It has to give you the link to the report. So that's important if you're writing a blog and you've got, hey, in this report it said, this is bad for you. Chemicals are bad for you. You can link out to it, which is also good for your SEO. So it builds your links for you. So I use Perplexity for that.
Is there any way that you can make them, allow them to talk to each other?
That's when you get into the automations that we were talking about, is I can have different agents in a line. So I've got one for SEO that'll do all of the keyword research. It'll take that output, it puts it into a spreadsheet. I can code the spreadsheet where the next one in the line will look for the next line that's available. They just got filled in, it'll grab it. It'll do research specifically on that through Perplexity. It passes it back to ChatGPT because that's better at structuring, lay out my blog. Then it'll write it. And once it writes it, it'll give it to Claude, which is Anthropic's model, which is a better writer. So I use Claude for writing. It's just a more efficient communication writer. And so then it'll write it through there. Then it gives it back to OpenAI to clean it up for the links, the cross links, because it's better at that. And then it'll post automatically to my website. And it runs through a whole run. But it talks to 4 or 5 different agents as it goes.
Okay, that's, all right, so that was Claude,
Claude, C-L-A-U-D-E. So this is all the websites that it's searching. This is why I like Google's deep research. Because it went to those websites, it looked you up, what it learned, because I didn't give any information about your company. So it found all your company information there, identified competitors, went back to the websites, because it found information specific, and it's still going. So this is going to give you a year's worth of content. Like you could write blogs on anything that comes out of this, and you're going to be really, really tight on what people are searching for search engine optimization.
So you can email that, right?
Yeah, I can email you that. I will email you that. So that's why I like that one. We're going to let this run and come back to it because it may take a minute, and we're running over on time right now. This last one is to build your team. I'm going to give you guys this one. You guys can play with it later. But this is how you build out your team. This is the prompt that I used. I think the only thing different in the prompt was when I did it is money's no object. I want to build out a team that was specifically for startups, that was built for tech entrepreneurs and build lean like the startup community, and to give me all the key players that would make me a Fortune 100 company within 5 years. And give me their backgrounds. Tell me about them. Who are they? What do they do? Like if I could hire anybody, if I could go poach people from companies, what would their personality profile be? So that's what I did with that, and that'll be on the download for you. And you tweak it, like dial it into what you want it to be. So,
How do we get to the download?
right here.
So do you ever do any work with nonprofits?
I do. I'm working with 2 of them right now. So I'm working with Operation Stand Down Tennessee and another that works with counter human trafficking and charity work in Haiti.
And those prompts are right here too.
Yeah, digital's easier because you can copy paste them. So that's basically what I use in the back end of setting up everything that I've set up. That was my progression to get my company where it is. And we do have 2 full-time employees, or part-time employees, but I've got probably 15 or 20 artificial intelligence employees that I work with every day.
Well, this is what that's this.
Mm-hmm. It's just easier digital.
Does Zoho do really well for you in the sense of integration with ChatGPT?
It's getting better. So I use Zoho also.
I use Zoho Books on the free version, but I also use Field Service Manager, their FSM.
I haven't played with that one yet.
It's for home-based
Yeah.
service businesses, It's gotten better. They have some at-rest API stuff and some integration with Zapier, but I haven't gotten to that.
And that's the problem with the at-rest stuff is that it takes a little bit more to code through it. And Zoho runs Deluge and not JavaScript, so there's some crossover, which is why the APIs are more difficult to work with. But they're supposed to be rolling it out in May. I think we're going to Houston in May for the Zoho meetup. So I use Zoho One, Zoho Holics. Yeah, Zoho's a great platform.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it can do everything.
DCW use it, and then I use it for Poop Patrol as well.
Yeah, it can do everything. So the Zoho One is probably, if you're looking at a CRM and you do email marketing, it's, what do we pay? $400 a year per seat for Zoho One, and you get 25,000 emails per seat. So that's cheaper than any other, that's cheaper than HubSpot, and you can run campaigns out of it. Like, it is a fantastic platform for marketing. Zoho, Z-O-H-O. I'll caution though, it requires a lot of customization. It's not an out-of-the-box program, where HubSpot's pretty much out of the box. Zoho requires a lot of...
Support's in India as well.
But their support's awesome.
Support's good.
You can get to them anytime. They do actually speak, with that audio thing that I showed is actually designed to take accents off.
Really?
That's what they're working for, is to get it to be accent neutral based on the user. That would be super cool. So that's the prompts and the frameworks. And then if you would like to sit down and talk some more, you can book some time with me there. So. Yes, ma'am. No, I'm not with the SBA. That would be Dave there. But I do work with him and have worked with them. They've been an integral part of me standing up this business and for the past couple of years.
Is that an AI picture?
No, that one's real. That one's real. I did an AI picture on my my LinkedIn. I've had a couple of them. I'm a photographer. I'm not going to use AI pictures. I do use AI for editing though. Like, it is pretty good. Like, there's some software out there that's actually really, really good and doesn't make you look all crazy. Like, I did Wes's headshot too. Yeah. I'll go back to that in a second. Here's some resources. This isn't going to fit on the screen. I can email this out to you too. These are the podcasts or YouTubes that I listen to that have what I found the most applicable AI to business application or small business development application. Like, these guys are all really, really good and keep it understandable. There's a lot of, and I love them for being entrepreneurs, but a lot of kids, like really young kids, they got on the AI stuff and they talk to you like they know what's going on in the world, and I max out pretty quick. But they're super sharp on the automations and stuff like that, and they're great at teaching to a level. Like, they'll get you to a certain level, but the next level, you've got to upgrade. But for business stuff, Alex Hormozy and My First Million's great for like just ideas. Like, those guys are really good. And then these are all the different tools that I use currently. And there's more out there. There's some on here that I use that I didn't put on there, but that's the majority of my AI tech stack.
Did you go back to the YouTube thing?
Yep.
Thanks.
You said you would send this.
Yeah, I'll send it out to everybody.
Oh, okay.
So I've got your email, so I'll send it to you. This was like a last minute when I was like, man, I didn't even make a reference to this.
So the AI tools, especially like how you're using ChatGPT, are you also embedding the employees to communicate there, or is it just for the real people?
So I've done it two different ways. So I've built individual custom bots for my employees to use. So they've got their own, it's the same one I use. So we're using the same tool essentially. They just use it differently or use it on their own. I don't get to see what they do with that. And then I've also made a Slack channel that uses the AI tools in the background that we can all go into. So there's a podcast that I work with, and they've got a large database of, they got over 1,000 podcasts, And so we made a Slack channel where people can go in there and talk, search it on a topic, and the AI returns information on the topic. So you can interact with the data through a Slack channel. The Slack channel also, we've got it set up with one of my clients where they can leave audio messages. It's like, hey, I got an idea for this, or I've got an event coming up. Here's the details of the event. It goes in there and it populates on my side. And then as it comes in, it triggers an automation that will create the post for it. So from an audio message to a post for approval I'm totally hands off on.
So who's posting?
I do have somebody that does that. Because the automated postings, they go up and down with it. They flag you immediately. Like LinkedIn doesn't like auto posters. You can get away with it on Meta, but Meta doesn't play well with the calendar and the planner. So you still need a human to push it in there. But we've got all of our stuff, all of our assets are foldered. We've got auto generation on like quote images. We've got the hooks and the
That's great. I think
CTAs.
That's a plus when it comes to AI too, because it kind of trains you to be aware of your assets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to get things organized.
And
It goes back to it.
And that's what is gonna help a lot of businesses, because not a lot of people do that.
Yeah. I'll show you this. This is just for fun.
Save their assets, have a place where their assets live. So do you know where your LLC documents are? Do you know where your HR documents are? Do you know where your
Terrible at it.
taxes documents are? So when it's around that time, you have to try to find all of that, right? Versus, it's all right there.
I have a friend that's going through that right now. Yeah, in terms of finance.
So this is gonna help you
So, yeah.
put it all together.
So this is what you were asking about and kind of what you were just hitting on. From that keyword research, I can put in a keyword on a table. It will run all of these independently, populate them so I know where they're at. They're going back to a database. And from there, it will do the clusters and the bins. So it categorizes them. It ranks them, says what's high value, what's low value, what's an easy target. And then it runs through this here, which so it'll grab whichever idea I want it to. Human does that. Like I push a button, I want to write an article on this. It goes through a planner. It'll do research and perplexity. It goes back to a planner. Then it goes to a copywriter, which is in Claude, or this one's in OpenAI. Then it goes to the actual editor, which is in Claude. Goes to the meta writer, which does all your metadata for your website, does the descriptions and all of that. Creates an image, which I got to figure out how to get it into a different model because I don't like these images. But that's going back to OpenAI's image generator. Matches it all up, emails me a copy of it, and then posts it to my webpage.
Okay, and then basically, that's your flow chart and your system.
For the blog.
Yeah, for the blog.
Yeah.
So you had to go in and literally do all those little boxes and take, you didn't do.
I do two of them.
You did two, which two did you do?
I do this one up here to start it. And I don't even actually work in this. This comes in, just a second. So this is where you have to have other pieces that are integrated with it. I go here. So these are all my keywords that if I want to write a blog about it and it's not turned on now, I just go back, the task. So I put in the keyword here, tell it what I want it to search, and it'll automatically start that chain. And then it comes back here to the content pool. And so now these are all the keywords based on that topic. So you can see there.
Yeah, but in your setup, in terms of your staff, your team, all right, you created that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And those are plugged in. So what we were doing in the ChatGPT window, this doesn't require any real AI. That's just API search. Each one of these is a different person.
Right.
And I had to create those.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
saying.
So There you go. So those I want to know, do me a favor. One, I'm going to send out a follow-up email. Let me know how those prompts work for you. Let me know what works well, what needs to be adjusted, like if it was helpful. Want the feedback, want the engagement. So you can book time with me. In the next month or so, I'm going to be releasing a school.com platform. So if you don't do in-person, you'll be able to do online at your own pace. But I am definitely open to working with businesses to get stood up and teach. So, cool. Thank you guys. Yeah. Appreciate it.